Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Harrisburg City Council Legislative Session. Today is October the 27th, 2020. I am now calling this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Ms. Houston, please do the roll call.
It's Mr. Allett,
Present.
Ms. Bowers,
Present.
Ms. Daniels,
Present.
Ms. Green,
Present.
Mr. Madsen,
Here.
Mr. Majors,
Present.
Ms. Williams.
Here. I'm sorry, Mr. Petrosky. I thought Ms. Houston was doing the meeting tonight. Moving on to the invocation, Ms. Bowers.
Thank you, President Williams. Good evening. Please continue to stay healthy and safe as we are experiencing an increase in COVID-19 cases in Dauphin County. Please keep the following families in your thoughts and prayers during their time of bereavement. Mrs. Gloria Martin Roberts, former Harrisburg City Council member, and the entire Roberts family, the Rossum family, the Crossan family, and the Calloway family. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, Ms. Green.
Thank you, President Williams. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms. Green. We now move on to communications. We have none this evening. We now will move on to courtesy of the floor. Mr. Petrosky, do we have any requests?
Yes, the first comment was submitted by Leah Davis. Writes, good evening. I'm a new Harrisburg resident, and this is my very first time attending a city council meeting. I don't know enough about Bill 8 to submit a public comment on it yet without listening and learning more from the residents who have been so diligently paying attention to these city council meetings, disseminating information further among city residents. I'm so grateful to these individuals without whom I would not even know the when's, where, and what's of these meetings in order to attend. Because of that experience, I do want to submit a public comment on the accessibility of these live stream sessions. It should not be the responsibility of the community members to encourage community engagement or to solely be responsible for dispersing information about the agenda items in plain language to the community members for who these issues affect. That should be the job of the city government. You should be encouraging community engagement. You should be continually providing information on multiple platforms on how community members can be engaged. And you should be providing multiple easy ways to access that engagement. It's very odd to me that when you live stream these sessions, it can only be found on WHBG TV 20 YouTube page and are seemingly not shared online anywhere else official except the news section on the city's website, buried in articles where I had to dig and search for this link, or rely on residents sharing the link on their personal Facebook page to be in the know enough to find it. It is truly a publicly accessible event that you need to prioritize to making it truly publicly accessible and easy to find. It should be a dual stream to YouTube and the city's Facebook page, similar to how the mayor has done his Facebook Live community conversations. Residents should be encouraged to attend on multiple official platforms, including our city's official social media accounts. The live stream videos should be embedded or linked on the front of the page, homepage, harrisburgpa.gov website. Residents don't have to be in the know or dig for a link to find it. Comments should be turned on so that residents can engage more live stream settings. More care should be taken to those accessibility needs, such as captions and transcripts can still participate. The stream should be more professionally done in clear audio and video so residents can hear every word. Simple to easy to word infographics should be created, shared on the city's official social media accounts for more civic engagement and dispersing information on the agenda. Alternatively, an official city council social media account should be created to share all the above information so that residents who want to be involved has an easy central location to go. Brand Bansum submits, dear city council members, I'm writing to address the plea made by Vice President of Council Ben Allett to consider diversity of thought in the process of forming Bill 8 into something that would actually serve city residents rather than HPD. For years, we have asked the city to make the council meetings more accessible. Nevertheless, the city has kept comments off their YouTube videos, has not allowed the opportunities for call-ins or public comment, only taking public comment via email. Public comments that seem too similar how they expect to gain diversity of thought without making efforts to hear voices of those living in the city beyond me. More participation by people of Harrisburg is needed, not more restrictions on how to speak to those we elected. While we have seen positive changes to Bill 8 as a result of some council members listening on their constituents, there still seems to be some hesitancy among members who are pro-police bias seems to hinder their desire to make the police accountable to people of Harrisburg. I do think that the talk of home rule has been important and something we should pursue. I also am much appreciated Council Person Shemaine Daniels for bringing that up and the need for the police contract negotiation process to be open so the residents can have a say what is bargained for. Andrew Hollinger submits on the issue of Bill 8, too little public accessibility has been made on behalf of a prospective group meant to represent the public. Ben Allett's plea for diversity of thought speaks loud and clear to that. We need public input concerning public safety and representation when it comes to critiquing law enforcement. Evidence and the similarities of public comments considered demonstrate this lack of diversity. Only allowing emailed input heavily limits diversity, including responses across the platforms allows the public to engage at their convenience. I believe a civilian review board and the power to hold the police department accountable is an absolute necessity beyond recommendation making the public relations. I believe full police transparency is an absolute necessity, including police union contracts, and diverting police funding back to our city's residents is an absolute necessity so that our residents' needs are met, not punished for survival. Thank you for your service and considering all the perspectives. Amanda Arbor submits, she's writing regarding the amended version of Bill 8, 2020. Appreciate the changes to make it clear that the intent of the body is accountable. The reduction in the residency requirements and removal of government officials as members and not requiring a ride-along training by the police. However, this body is still called an advisory committee. Has 3 appointments by the mayor and other issues that need to be addressed. One fundamental question I keep coming back to is, what does accountability look like? Yes, in this version of the bill, there's administrative subpoena power to compel third-party records and records requests process the teeth of restricting the release of budgeted funds to hire new officers. These are steps in the right direction, but I am skeptical about the materials there would be in implementation. We know that the Harrisburg Police Department simply didn't provide reports that were required for years. We know that there's currently a right to know process. The process is cumbersome and time consuming, and we know that the mayor has always had the power to hold police accountability and simply does not. So how will this advisory council be any different? What will city council do to ensure that the police are actually held accountable? I ask each council member to respond to this question. The fact that so many residents have been submitting public comments week after week for months now with shared message should indicate that our communities are organized. We know what we want and we will keep demanding it. It should not be meant for the pleas for a diversity of thought. Instead, city council must do more than make these public meetings accessible. The city has kept comments off of YouTube, has not allowed many opportunities for call-ins for public, has only taken public comments via email and truncated those that seem all too familiar. We call on city council to make these meetings more accessible for your constituents. Kamika Campbell submits, please do not truncate this public comment. I have used a template and added specific details that I think are important. Truncating comments can be seen as a way to limit the public voice on the issue of Bill 8. On Bill 8, diversity of access matters. At last week's City Council meeting, Vice President Allett made a plea to consider balance of perspective and diversity of thought in the process of forming Bill 8 into a piece of legislation that would work for the majority of city residents. He even made reference to the folks who were reaching out on the side and stopping us up on the street. I find this interesting because members of city government, including the mayor, have complained that residents aren't participating. Now that residents are participating, the thoughts of residents are not diverse enough for the very least the vice president of city council. If you look back at the first infographic of the public comment letter that I sent, and I asked that these meetings formed in a way that allow people to participate. Additionally, over the last few months during COVID, the residents have pleaded with the city to make the council meetings more accessible. Nevertheless, the city has kept comments off their YouTube videos, not allowed more than 2 opportunities for call-ins for public comment, only taken public comment via email and truncated public comments that seem too similar. In light, the real issues, it seems, is extremely disingenuous that the vice president of council would now call for a diversity of thought in the responses council is receiving. We again call on the city council to make these meetings accessible in various ways so more residents can participate and give public comment. This should be the standard during this very difficult time for residents. How can the council expect to receive diversity of thought if there isn't a diversity way that the folks can participate? I found this in the line of thinking and completely dismissive. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge the excellent job that City Council has done so far to incorporate these comments on those who are participating in the public comment process. We have seen positive changes as a result. However, we still require City Council to address the following issues. One, it was mentioned last week that we would have a link that the police districts where residents would need to be from in order to serve. I've spoken to a few people that told me the districts are not a secret. Is there a webpage or any documents that community members can reference? 2, I understand that a different mayor may be more friendly to police in another administration. This does not change the fact that the mayor has police oversight right now and has been slow to respond to community issues regarding policing. I would like the mayor to have less initial appointments on this board, as the perception is that the position needs a checks and balance from the community on how they interact with the police on our behalf. Please answer why this body, if needed, if council and the mayor already have police oversight. As the vice president of council has stated, this bill won't solve everything. So the question remains, what is it supposed to solve, and why should residents believe that this body will be useful? How will you all convince the community that this is a good thing, not just another arm of bureaucracy? If the proposed body cannot have oversight power, what is the council's commitment to acting on the powers that they already have? How can the city council be more involved to review police contracts? We know that the mayor has the power to ask to review the contracts at any time. Can reviewing police contracts regularly be included in this bill? Thank you for your prompt attention for these requests. As part of the community, I look forward to working with council to honor any requests for the city's tax-paying residents. Rachel Lee Peacock submits that I still live in Midtown. I'm writing again because Bill 8 needs more work. We need diversity of thought in the process of forming Bill 8 into a piece of legislation that would work for a majority of city residents. My friends have created task force to encourage city residents to attend more city council meetings. The meetings aren't always accessible. Nevertheless, the city has kept comments off their YouTube videos and not allowed many opportunities for calling for public comment, only taking the public comment via email, truncated public comments that seem too familiar. As a veteran, I can honestly say that this is a form of guerrilla warfare and not acceptable. I did sacrifice my youth to be silenced and by city council. As a taxpayer, the city's many taxes, I need city council to make these meetings accessible. If you were in my shoes, you would want your voice to be heard. Please stop silencing the city's residents that are disenfranchised. Please make the meetings accessible in various ways so that more residents can participate and give public comment. This should be the standard during this very difficult time for all residents. I have several Bill 8 questions. What are the districts that residents are expected to live and serve? Our own police don't have that requirement, might I add. The mayor already has power over the police. Why is he given a choice in the representatives of the review board? Sounds like double dipping into power structures for me. How will the future board hold police accountable? If future body doesn't have oversight power, then what is the point? This sounds like a horse and pony show to me. I look forward to reading the revisions to honor the request of the city's tax-paying residents. Liam Hicklin writes, Dear City Council members, thank you for your diligence in including the public comments in your legislative work sessions regarding Bill 8 of 2020 and for paying attention to the requests of the residents who have taken the time to contact you and make their demands known. We have noticed that some council members have taken public comment seriously and referenced them while proposing amendments to this bill. One of the items of concern last week was the comment from Councilmember Allett of the diversity in the comments submitted. He suggested that there were different opinions being expressed by city residents behind the scenes, but as the meetings are a public forum and we're told to participate through public comments, I wonder why those people aren't using the same channel as the residents who are taking the time to write their comments and send them in. And their other mode is participation that we're not aware of. One point I would like to make is that according to Solicitor Grover, the board will never have any power to hold the police accountable. The power lies in council and the mayor. If that's the case, it's imperative that this committee truly represent the people of Harrisburg and not the people who already have the power to hold police accountable, but have yet to assert the power. We need people on the committee who are not beholden to the mayor or to city council and who are willing to hold them to their words. True oversight cannot come from within the system. And that ends the public comments.
Thank you, Mr. Petrowski. We now will move on to approval of minutes. Approval of legislative minutes, session of October the 13th, 2020. Council members, are there any omissions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, minutes will stand approved. We now move on to reports of committees. Report from Chair Allett on the work session of October the 20th, 2020. Mr. Allett, are you ready with your report?
I am, thank you. Up for discussion at last week's work session was Resolution 71 of 2020, which was a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to facilitate the completion of certain improvements in the ongoing Mulder Square project to be funded through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program known as RCAP under an award made to the Redevelopment Authority of the city of Harrisburg, and otherwise approving the related RCAP reimbursement agreement between the city and the Redevelopment Authority to advance reimbursable project costs in a sum no greater than $3 million in a manner consistent with the terms and conditions of the grant. This resolution, in plain words, basically means the city is fronting the money to the Redevelopment Authority to complete the project, and then the city will receive the grant to reimburse the city for fronting that money. So that's kind of long and short of this particular resolution. I encourage my colleagues to vote yes on this, and that ends my committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Allett. We now move on. Report from Chair Bowers on the work session of October the 20th, 2020. Ms. Bowers, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you, President Williams.
Thank you.
On Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, the Building and Housing Committee met to discuss Resolution 73 of 2020 and Resolution 78 of 2020 during the council's work session. Resolution 73 of 2020 is a resolution appointing Callie Tennis to serve on the Harrisburg Architectural Review Board. Frank Grumbine, Historic Preservation Specialist and Archivist, offered remarks on behalf of the administration. Mr. Grumbine shared that there are currently 2 vacancies available on the Harrisburg Architectural Review Board, or HARB. Mr. Grumbine recommended Ms. Tennis as a potential appointee as she has participated in HARB meetings by offering testimony before the board. In addition, Ms. Tennis is a resident of a historic district. Given Ms. Tennis's interest and industry background, I would encourage my colleagues to support Ms. Tennis's appointment. Resolution 78 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services contract with Steve Zimmerman to provide access and service of the city's historical mainframe, programming operations, and related services in the Bureau of Information Technology. Steve Bortner, Director of Information Technology, offered remarks on behalf of the administration. Mr. Bortner reminded council members that the contract with Steve Zimmerman is an annual professional services contract. There are 5 stages to modernize the old historic mainframe. The first 2 stages will be completed by the end of this year. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Mr. Bortner believes Steve Zimmerman's services will be needed through 2022 for the complete modernization of the old historical mainframe. I would encourage my colleagues to support this resolution as it will bring us one step closer to modernizing the historical mainframe. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Now moving on to report from Chair Green on the work session of October the 20th, 2020. Ms. Green, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Council President Williams.
You're welcome.
At the work session of October 20th, 2020, the Public Safety Committee discussed Bill 8, an ordinance amending Part 5 of the Administrative Code under Chapter 2-500, adding thereunto Chapter 2-515 to establish a Citizens Law Enforcement Advisory Committee. During this discussion, we heard public comments. Some of the comments included that language matters, and that the public would prefer the board to be named a review board instead of an advisory board. There was also public comment that requested less mayoral appointments, to reduce the mayoral appointments to 2 appointments and increase the council appointments to 5 appointments for the initial appointments to this committee. There was also a request to make the police district map more accessible. The mayor said that he would be willing to ensure this was placed on the city's website so that it was available and accessible to the public. Councilman Majors also asked if there could be a GIS layer included on the map to make it more user-friendly and accessible to the public. There was also questions and a lot of comments during the public comment section about home rule. The solicitor, Mr. Grover, gave the public an overview of the process of home rule and also how the process could be initiated. There was also public comment on making sure the intent of the bill was clear. And there were discussions of potential amendments that included mayoral appointments and name changes along with other items. I asked for this to be put on the agenda for a vote tonight, but it was placed on the agenda for amendment due to some potential amendments coming to light. It is my hope that it will be placed on the next legislative agenda for a vote as it's up for amendment tonight. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Moving on to report from Chair Mattson on the work session of October the 20th, 2020. Mr. Mattson, are you ready with your report?
I am, President Williams. On October 20th, 2020, the Community and Economic Development Committee held a work session. The committee received a presentation from Penn State students regarding a report they conducted on improving Reservoir Park. After some Q&A, the committee said that they would take the recommendations under advisement. Overall, the project was a worthwhile exercise, and both City Council and Penn State look forward to further collaboration. Next, the committee discussed Resolution 76, a resolution improving a preliminary final land development plan to develop an approximately 200 space parking lot at 1501 North 7th Street. Director Jeff Knight gave an overview of the project. Council members asked questions. Of note was if the parking lots would be in violation of the SB Plus contract agreement. Council received clarification that SB Plus was aware of the project and was not an objection of the land development plan. Next, the committee discussed Resolution 85, a resolution of the Council of the City of Harrisburg to adopt a comprehensive plan in accordance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Planning Code. It should be noted that we received an overview of the plan, a bird's eye view, while it was lengthy, it was a brief summary of the plan by Planning Director Jeff Knight. It should be noted in accordance with the municipal planning code, the plan was given to Dauphin County Planning, the planning department, and 9 other public bodies. The delivery of the plan triggers the 45-day notice. So those bodies or entities have to review the plan before council can have public sessions reviewing it. And that is it. That concludes my report. Oh, and for Resolution 76, I encourage my colleagues to vote in affirmation of the resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson.
Yep.
Moving on to the report from Chair Majors on the work session of October 20th, 2020. Mr. Majors, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. All right. On Tuesday, October 20th, the Public Works Committee met to consider 3 resolutions. Resolution 79 of 2020 is the first, a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation Multimodal Transportation Fund for up to $972,730 to help fund the construction of the Courthouse Connection Multimodal Project. We heard from engineer Wayne Martin, who provided an overview of this application request. And I am asking that all members would vote in the affirmative on Resolution 79. Next was Resolution 81, a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a final agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation arising from the Harrisburg Strong Plan to secure reimbursement for up to $2,892,407 through the statewide multimodal transportation program to thereby assist with the ongoing Second Street multimodal project. As mentioned, this is for reimbursement for work that is being done to put together the plan, and I am asking that my council members would vote in the affirmative on Resolution 81. Lastly, is a Resolution 82, a resolution authorizing a final agreement to resolve certain disputes arising from the 2014 lease agreement of certain properties serving as the city's primary public works facility. We received an update from Solicitor Grover on the ongoing negotiations with MEB Partners and Brenner Motors regarding the lease of the public works facility located at 18th and Paxton Streets. There is in the resolution, we have parties were working to agree on a settlement payment of $725,000. And it is my understanding that at that meeting, we were told that the final agreement would be provided to us ahead of this meeting, which all council members did receive a copy of the final settlement agreement between the parties involved. I'd asked that all my council members would review that and we would vote in the affirmative to move forward on Resolution 82 of 2020. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Majors. Moving on to ordinance first reading, Bill 13 to 2020. Mr. Petrosky, please read that into record. Mr. Petrosky?
It looks like Kirk got disconnected.
Oh, okay. I'll give him a few minutes.
He just messaged me. He's trying to get back on now.
Yeah, he just messaged me as well. We'll wait a few minutes. Moman,
Yes.
we're going to go ahead and continue. I will read the ordinance for first reading into record. Mr. Petrowski cannot get on. We're going to take a quick recess until Mr. Petrowski can get back on. He has lost connection. So we'll take a 5-minute recess. Everyone? Okay,
All right.
okay, thank you. Mama, we'll take 5 minutes.
Okay.
Moman,
Yes, President Williams.
Kirk is, he's back online, so how many minutes we have? About 3 more minutes before resuming?
I believe we're just at about 5 minutes.
Pardon me?
I believe we're just at about 5 minutes. If you
Oh,
want.
we are? Okay, okay,
Maybe 1 minute more.
okay, thank you.
believe we're at about 5 minutes. I don't know if you want to give it some more time.
No, I don't. Okay, council members, are they all back on? Okay. Okay. Mr. Petrosky, would you please read ordinance for first reading, Bill 13, 2020, into record?
Yeah, I apologize for that. I got booted off. Bill 13 of 2020 is an ordinance vacating and striking from the official map of the city of Harrisburg a portion of Ken Alley within the block bounded by 1820 North Fifth Street, Fifth Street, Calker Street, and Fulton Street, and an unnamed Grocer's Alley running from the portion of Ken Alley to Calker Street pursuant to Chapter 3-109 of the codified ordinances of the city of Harrisburg.
That will be placed in Public Works Committee. We now move on to ordinance for amendment. Please read Bill 8, 2020 into record.
Bill 8 of 2020 is an ordinance amending Part 5 of the Administrative Code under Chapter 2-500, adding thereto Chapter 2-515 to establish a Citizens Law Enforcement Advisory Committee.
Ms. Green, you have a motion to make for the First Amendment.
Yes, I do, President Williams. I would like to make an amendment to amend Bill 8 to read this motion, under Section 2515.12 regarding meetings. I would like to strike line 310, the term annual public meeting, and replace it with the term quarterly meetings. This would ensure that the committee meets at least quarterly. They could meet on a more consistent basis more than quarterly, but it would ensure that they met at least quarterly throughout the year.
Okay. Have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the motion proposed by Ms. Green? Hearing none, please call the vote. Mr. Petrosky.
Sure, I'm going to call this Amendment 13. It's the 13th amendment on this bill so far. Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
yes,
Ms. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
The motion carries for Amendment 13.
thank you. I now move to Ms. Bowers, who has a motion as well for Bill 8. Ms. Bowers, would you like to read your motion into the record?
Yes, thank you. Tonight, I will be offering a motion to further amend Bill 8 of 2020 as follows. Under Section 2-515.7A, regarding original committee appointments, striking at line 123 the term 4 and replacing it with the term 5, and striking at line 124 the term 3 and replacing it with the term 2. This amendment provides the council with 5 appointments and the mayor with 2 appointments to the original board.
You have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I would like to offer one comment. I was interested in offering this amendment because listening to all the comments, again, I think it's really power to the people. And this is no disrespect to the mayor in his capacity, his current capacity, or relative to the role in general moving forward. But I do think that this will provide a great participation amongst the residents, and again, power to the people. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. Any additional questions or comments? Hearing none, please call the vote. Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
yes,
Ms. Green,
Yes,
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
The motion carries for Amendment 14.
I'll now move back to Ms. Green for additional motion and amendment to Bill 8.
thank you, President Williams.
You're welcome.
This motion is to further amend Bill 8 of 2020 as follows. Under Section 2-515.7B, regarding original appointments, striking line 127 through 130 in entirety and substituting with the following as subsection 7.b. 2 of the original members shall be appointed to 4-year terms, 2 shall be appointed to 3-year terms, and 3 shall be appointed to 2-year terms. The specific term of each appointment to be determined at the time of appointment, consistent with the subsection, each of whom shall serve until the appointment of their successor.
Thank
Uh,
you.
The
Okay.
purpose of this amendment is because with the past amendment by Councilwoman Bowers, it would mean that all the terms except for 2 would be expiring at the same time. So in order to allow a more staggered time frame of when they would expire, I made this amendment so that we wouldn't have a large chunk of the entire board turning over at one time.
Okay, have a second, please, on the amendment.
I second the amendment.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, Mr. Petrosky, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
The motion carries for Amendment 15.
Ms. Green, this will be put on the agenda for November the 10th. We first will have a work session, then immediately following that, we will have the legislative session.
Thank you, President Williams.
You're welcome. Moving on to ordinance for final passage. Mr. Petrosky, please read under resolutions, Resolution 71 of 2020.
Resolution 71 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to facilitate the completion of certain improvements in ongoing Mulder Square project to be funded through the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania's Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program under an award made to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Harrisburg and otherwise approving the related RACP reimbursement agreement between the city and the Redevelopment Authority to advance reimbursable project costs in a sum no greater than $3 million in a manner consistent with the terms and conditions of the RACP grant.
Any additional comments or questions, council member? Hearing none, please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 71 passes.
thank you. Moving on to Resolution 73.
Resolution 73 of 2020 is a resolution appointing Callie Tennis to serve on the Harrisburg Architectural Review Board.
Is there any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 73 passes.
thank you. Moving on to Resolution 76.
Resolution 76 of 2020 is a resolution approving a preliminary final land development plan to develop an approximately 200 space parking lot at 1501 North 7th Street.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote, Mr. Petrosky.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 76 passes.
moving on to Resolution 78.
Resolution 78 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services contract with Steve Zimmerman to provide access and service of the city's historical mainframe programming operations and related services in the Bureau of Information Technology.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 78 passes.
moving on to Resolution 79.
Resolution 79 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation and Multimodal Transportation Fund for up to $972,730 to help fund the construction of the Courthouse Connection Multimodal Project.
Is there additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 79 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 81.
Resolution 81 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate, enter into a final agreement with the Pennsylvania Department of Transportation arising from the Harrisburg Strong Plan to secure a reimbursement of funds up to $2,892,407 through the statewide multimodal transportation program and to thereby assist with the ongoing North Second Street multimodal project.
Is there any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
yes,
Ms. Green,
yes,
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
yes,
Ms. Williams.
Yes. Moving on to
Re-
Resolution 82.
Resolution 81 passes. Resolution 82, a resolution authorizing a final agreement to resolve certain disputes arising from a 2014 lease agreement of certain properties serving as the city's primary public works facility.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
yes,
Ms. Green,
yes,
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
yes,
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 82 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 86.
Resolution 86 of 2020 is a resolution approving the sixth proposed 2020 budget reallocation.
That will be placed in Budget and Finance Committee. Moving on to 87.
Resolution 87 of 2020 is a resolution approving the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan submitted by Tark Castile on behalf of TLC Work-Based Training Programs, Inc. to construct 8 residential units on a vacant lot at 440 Kelker Street.
That will be placed in Community and Economic Development Committee. Now moving on to old business, council members. Is there any old business that you would like to discuss at this time?
Yes.
Mr. Alec?
Thank you. So I do want to address public comment tonight that I heard, and I want to kind of echo and reiterate first the thanks for the public comment and the acknowledgement of the importance of a diversity of thought and opinion, whether it be about Bill 8 or anything that we discuss on City Council. I do want to challenge our collective body in the city to figure out ways that we can continue to address the interactivity of our meetings. In light of being in a COVID world and the idea of trying to create safe and spaces to be able to have that interaction occur. But I also want to encourage the general public that these meetings aren't held in a vacuum and aren't the only ways to interact with us on City Council. If you click on our website, you'll get an email, and you can email us anytime. You can call us anytime. You can request meetings anytime. I know my colleagues have accepted invites to attend, whether it be community meetings or neighborhood groups or anything along those lines. It's a great way to engage with us, and we are open to doing it. I know I don't have to just speak for myself. I know I speak for my colleagues on this, that there is a willingness to be able to engage with the community in many different fashions. And when I reference the diversity of thought and opinion, it's really being able to bring all of those perspectives to the table, whether someone stops us on the street and offers their opinion, or they shot us an email, or they gave us a call, or any of those things. All of those things are valuable and valid ways to be able to interact with us. And it doesn't take apart the importance of our meetings and how that is a great way to engage in a more formal sense with this body. There's just so many ways to be able to engage. So I really wanted to kind of further reiterate that to the general public and let everybody know that we are not afraid to interact or involve ourselves and engage in discussions in the community in a more intimate and in a more formal sense and everything in between. So I just wanted to provide that kind of additional clarification based on the public comment that we heard tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Alec. Is there any other old business? Moving on to new business, council members. Is there any new business? Okay, the only new business I have to the public is because of torrential rains that are going to occur on Thursday night, which is October the 29th, the city of Harrisburg will reschedule their grab and go trick or treat night. It's rescheduled to Saturday, October the 31st, and it's going to start at 5 and it will end at 7 p.m. There are 3 locations: Harrisburg Fire Station, number 1, 1820th North 6th Street. At that fire station, President Williams and Councilman Mattson will be at that location. Harrisburg Fire Station, number 2, 140 North 16th Street. Councilwoman Green and Councilwoman Daniels will be at that location. Harrisburg Fire Station, number 8, 9 South 13th Street. Councilman Majors and Councilwoman Bowers will be at that location. So again, it's rescheduled to Saturday, October the 31st from 5 to 7 p.m. Also, I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our sponsors who made it possible for Grab and Go Treat Night. We want to say a thank you to Hershey Foods, Giant Foods, members of the community, and also Downtown Improvement District. So thank you very much because it was very, very successful. We managed to do about 3,000 bags along with a lot of the city employees here in the city of Harrisburg. Anything else, council members, for new business? Hearing none, may I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Have a second, please.
Second.
Meeting is officially adjourned. Thank you all and have a good evening.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good
Night.
night,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Good night.